That was part 1. This is part 2. Beryl Adhiambo Ouma, the neighbors did not save her. Why? The fight on that fateful day, it started at 2 a.m. Beryl Adhiambo Ouma screamed and called for help. Walter was one of the neighbors within our neighborhood, and this is what he said. He said that Beryl was screaming painfully. She screamed and called for help for 4 hours. For the first hour, for the second hour, for the third hour, and for the fourth hour. She screamed and called for help. The neighbors did not save her, despite her calls for help. The Riru OCPD, James Ngetich, said that Beryl's life could have been saved by the neighbors. He says that the neighbors ignored her screams and her calls in distress. And I found another forum. It's called Kenya Talk. And this is what they say. The neighbors heard and they did nothing. This is someone speaking about this issue. Kazi yao ilikuwa kukuwa eyewitness peke yake. Somebody say that. Another person said, the neighbor should have taken the woman elsewhere, ama apeleke the jamaa for drinks until it cools off, separating the two warring parties. But you see, in life, it's always easier to look at an issue from the outside. It's always harder to look at it from the inside when it is happening to you. And this, I will say, comes to the neighbors. There's another person still on that Kenyan Talk forum, and he said, my wife once tried to break up a couple's fight, and the man who was beating her threatened the wife. Why would you endanger yourself? When today they are quarreling, tomorrow they'll be happy together, and you will be nursing wounds. Why endanger yourself when you pay taxes for a police force to deal with this issue? It's a societal problem. I'm saying it is never that easy for neighbors to come out and help you, because they're putting themselves at risk. When tomorrow you guys will be drinking and having fun. In other cases, somebody will say, unaharibu ndoa yangu, hii ni mambo yetu. Who would want to be the cause of other people breaking up, or to enter into fights that you don't know how it started and you don't know what happens behind closed doors? So yes, some neighbors kept off, and the police blamed the public. And they often do, because remember our president said, mnataka nifanye nini, when it came to corruption. Remember, they say, usalama unaanza na wewe. So it is our fault, it's the public's fault, as other guys were saying, and as the police were saying. And that brings me to a point: escaping responsibility. The thief, as he runs, he will shout to another person and say, that is the thief. And if people are distracted, they'll start running after the other guy, forgetting the thief. The thief would have distracted the mob. Are you distracted? 10 minutes is the average time that people wait for a police response on a 911 call in the United States of America. The longest that I've found is 73 minutes. That's 1 hour and 13 minutes. And that is in New Orleans, where Democrats have wreaked havoc, and in other democratic cities. But anyway, enough about the Democrats. The dispatch time in 2011 was 15 minutes in New Orleans. So this one is a recent development. Police should respond quickly to such things. Of course, They have to prioritize the emergency. Is it a real emergency? How high is the priority of that emergency? The number of other priorities that are coming into their desk, the number of officers on duty, and the number of officers they need to send to you for that particular call. Of course, they have to consider a number of things. But in Kenya, do they respond at all? What do they do after they respond? What happened to community policing? Isn't there somebody that even if the police cannot get there quickly, that they can contact and perhaps can save Beryl Adhiambo Ouma's life? The lack of action discourages reporting because people know nothing will be done. Also, another factor that discourages reporting and response is the fact that couples, they fight today, tomorrow they go on with their business. There is no need for collecting people's information, including Huduma number, when the real problem is action on reports. When you act on a report, you encourage people to look for details. You actually encourage people to go there and make a lot of noise until they stop fighting, until they produce Beryl Adhiambo Ouma, until they make sure that she is safe. But without police action, who would risk their lives? Who would risk injury when tomorrow they can be having fun and drinking? But if there's police action, even that drinking, even that tomorrow, things will change because the police won't entertain it. But when there's no action, then the shouts and the scream, they'll happen as often as possible. But if there are police reports, police response to those shouting and screaming, they'll reduce. And fighting today, making merry tomorrow, it will be a thing that will reduce completely, not completely, but at least substantially. So anyway, the government is focusing on collecting information. I know I've diverted on that. Instead of acting on reports, acting on reports is important, including when it comes to domestic violence, including when it comes to terrorism. People would look for more details. People would risk their injury. People would risk their lives when they know that action will be taken, that their risk will not be in vain. So anyway, despite the inaction of our police force, the neighbors inquired. And the neighbors were told, as expected, that this was just a quarrel between a husband and wife. And sometimes it gets heated. Some of them, from what I get, they try to, move further, move closer to the warring parties. But they found that the door was locked from the inside, as expected. So they could not get in. Would you break a door, move into that compound, risk injury to yourself, risk your own life, and tomorrow they might be making merry, and the police might not even be bothered about it? When there is action by the police, things will change, including that idea of fighting today, making merry tomorrow. And one of the reasons why people give up on this thing, because Beryl would poke her head out of the window and she would tell them, everything is okay, do not worry. She would tell them that this quarrel between husband and wife, they would resolve it because they are husband and wife. And one of the neighbors, they say, when they talked to the couple went back into the house and there was silence. And everybody thought that the silence meant that they had finally settled their issues, as Beryl had said. But the elders once said, kimya kingi kina mshindo mkubwa. Let us change the system. Let us not rush to assigning blame to others. It is a sign of escapism. The police were trying to escape their responsibility. And the media, they went on with the police, because the media is part of the system. When we allow people to assign blame, when we allow people to escape, there is a failure to take responsibility, as the police should have done. There is an unwillingness to take up responsibility and change the system. And the system, what it requires when it comes to domestic violence, is action on reporting.